G'day everyone and welcome to another edition of the Coach's Box, brought to you by CrowCast, of course. This week we're looking at the round 3 match against North Melbourne, and a very interesting little analysis here of the engine room, as whilst we won the game quite comfortably, as you'll see by the scores, we did struggle a little bit around clearance phases. Don't forget, we're proudly sponsored by One Sports Analysis. I wish I could say that properly. Analysis software. Great bit of kit, not only for junior and senior football clubs, also soccer clubs, basketball, but also for individuals like me who just like to nerd out on stats. So get around it. You get 10% off if you use the CrowCast 10 code at checkout. All right, as mentioned, we won the game relatively comfortably in the end, although North did hang around for quite some time. 17-12, 1-1-4 to 12-6, 78. The AFL stats here, you know that we like to dive a little bit deeper, but you'll notice that the centre clearances we lost by 4, stoppages we won by 7, and Riley O'Brien won the hitouts by 9. So let's just have a look at the ruck work to start off with, and you'll see that O'Brien attended all bar one of the centre bounces for the match. It was pretty much a lone hand by Riley. I think O'Brien might have had a little break halfway through, well, at some point during the third quarter, but that was it. 11 positive results, so we didn't really capitalise on his work to any great degree, but good work by Riley nonetheless. Thilthorpe, as I mentioned, only 1 attendance, and we got a positive result out of that. In terms of overall, O'Brien falls away at stoppage and throw-ins, didn't have anywhere near the same impact in those two phases. Thilthorpe did far better at stoppage with 3 positive results, and throw-ins fell away, -3, although both stoppage and throw-ins, I've got to say, was a bit of a crowded mess at times. North liked to crowd that contest up, so it was difficult to get clean service away from those phases. Just some observations about the ruck. As I mentioned, O'Brien didn't do too badly against Derry, I didn't think. He probably won the battle, to be honest, in the end. He still struggles around the ground. Sometimes his tap work is just a bit mystifying. He, as I've mentioned before, both here and on the weekend wrap, he tends to tap to convenience, and he only has 2 hit zones really, which makes him quite easy to read. So that's something that he needs to continue to work on. Thilthorpe, as I mentioned, only 1 CBA for the match. Did better at stoppage than throw-ins. I think throw-ins, he was just a bit unlucky with some of the throw-ins. I don't know what's going on with boundary umpires, but they don't seem to be able to throw the ball in properly. It's half the time it's short. But his second efforts around ruck are excellent and continue to be so. Just another note around umpires and centre bouncers. There were about 5 centre bouncers that should have been called back for the match, and sometimes I just wonder why we can't just be consistent. It doesn't seem like a hard thing. If it's going outside the circle, you call it back. There should be no interpretation, but there seems to be. Anyway, let's move on, and we'll look at some footage of the centre bouncers, and then we'll talk about the rankings after that. So the first piece of footage here, of course, is it's actually the first CBA of the game, and it just highlights the work that Rankin can do in stoppage. A very good tap from O'Brien. And the interesting thing here is the choice that Rankin makes with his step here. Most would have gone to the outside. He goes to the inside knowing that it's only Cherry left to beat. And nice little Euro step there, I reckon, Isaac. And shoots the ball forward. Just incredible stuff there. Great awareness from Isaac. Elite clearance from him. So this next one is almost the same play. And you can see O'Brien is going to tap to that lane again. This time it's Peatling. And this isn't a knock against Peatling. It's just an observation of the difference. Peatling also had the opportunity to cut back inside, but didn't have the awareness of Isaac and did what all of us would do and got it onto his beat. Okay, so here we look at a negative one, and you look at the separation that's achieved by the North players from Jake and Crouchy there. It's just, you'll see a few of these highlighted through the footage. It's just not good enough. It's not up to standard, and unfortunately, that's not really what's going to cut it against Gold Coast. This is a really good read by Peatling, and just his pace. He's got great pace out of stoppage. Next one here, we're looking at, let me see, another one here where Saligo is very loose on his player. The ball is only going to go in one direction, and I would have thought that at that point it would have been easily read by Saligo, but not the case. Again, another tap with O'Brien here. Everyone would have thought it was going there. But Riley can't hit straight. So it goes to the left. Obviously, it goes over the players, and then Saligo gets assaulted by the ruckman. And I think the court hearing's in a couple of weeks. Again, this one is an easy read. It's only going to that spot. And again, you can see Crouchy just does not cover up on his player. It was not going anywhere but there. And his player gets 2 or 3 metres on him in a very short space of time, and off to the races. And Rankin as well caught ball watching a little bit, allowing his player to get away from him. So I don't understand why on the defensive side you'd be so far off your player. You're on the defensive side, and you've given your player a 5 metre head start, and look who impacts the contest. Like, I just don't understand it. Very strange setup there from the Crows. Again, no touch from those 2 players. Quite a bit of latitude given. The ball's going to go in 1 or 2 places, because we know where Riley hits it, and if Cherry hits it, it's going to go the same place. And they've both got separation from their player. And this time it's Parker that just comes through, and Isaac just stands and watches. And this is what I mean about his defensive work from stoppage. He really needs to be better. Matt gets pushed off it here. He's just, that's really soft by him. He should not have allowed himself to get off. And again, Isaac is just a spectator in this thing. And we're lucky that Cherry decided to take it out of the air instead of knock it, and we're able to nullify the contest. But, yeah, just another example. Another really strange setup with Saligo way off his man on the defensive side. I don't really understand it. You know, Crouchy's pushed off again there. Isaac's just ball watching, and far too loose. Far too loose. Another very strange setup again with Saligo. Parker gets under it too much, which is probably why. And it was a really good read from Geordie in the end, but that could have gone pear-shaped too, with Parker being so loose there. From Saligo. And at this point, you wonder whether there's social distancing laws in check. It's only going to go one spot. I don't know why Isaac's not running through this one. He seems to look for body. Jake's not been able to get touch on his player. And again, North were able to break free. And being at the game as I was, it was quite noticeable how often they would get off the chain. So following on from that footage, we can see that James Peatling, although he only attended 6 centre bounces, he ranked in each of those and comes out on top in terms of the influence rankings. Geordie Dawson attended many but didn't really have an influence this week. Struggled a bit with calf injury, I think, and probably struggled to get off the mark at occasions. He was playing in the defensive position quite regularly. Riley O'Brien, as I mentioned, did really well in centre bounces and deserved his third spot there. Jake Soligo continues to be busy. A bit of good and bad with Jake around centre bounces. A couple of lapses of concentration, but overall quite good. Matthew Crouch, on the other hand, and Isaac Rankin, for that matter, who doesn't even rate a top 5, for all the work that they do that's positive, and we do highlight a couple of their good efforts, it was undone on the weekend by some terribly lazy efforts, and both Crouch and Rankin tend to ball watch. Rankin in particular ball watches when he's not in direct play, and it leads to his opponent getting free access to the ball, and it's something that he really needs to address if he's going to become a premier midfielder and just not a streaky attacking midfielder. The weighted rankings, as you can see, James Peatling obviously jumps off the page, given that he only attended 6, so he comfortably wins this section this week with 33 points. Geordie with 6, O'Brien with 5, Soligo with 4, and Crouch with -3. But just some observations on centre clearance. Crouch had a dirty day, in my opinion. A couple of good efforts marred by 2 turnovers and 7 negative actions out of centre bounce attendances. And mostly it came down to a failure to contest or keep touch, or he got pushed off too easily, or didn't chase, or it was just he didn't look really terribly switched on. Isaac, as I mentioned, ball watches consistently when he's not directly involved. And on a few occasions, his opponent, as a consequence, took advantage of that and was able to influence the contest. Overall, we're still lazy, in my opinion, around centre bounce. At times, we seem to be set up correctly and the ball goes our way, but I don't know whether we're set up too aggressively or what it is, but there were times where we were left flat-footed and it really didn't look that good. All right, we'll have a look at some of the footage of stoppage now, and also of throw-ins, and then we'll talk about the rankings for each of those 2 categories. All right, this is just showcasing a really good setup here. We've got a ring around the hit zone. We've got Tex lining up for one of his trademark push-offs from the ruck. It's all clear, and Darling was the ruckman, so he had an advantage, Tex, and he made the most of it there. Just really good work. We've got here Parker's coming off Rankin again here. It was evident both in stoppage and also in centre bounce. Dawson has to come off his man, and Isaac's just ball watching at this point. Now this guy here, Daniel, he should have really given this across to the spare man, but he didn't recognise the opportunity, and he ends up giving us an opportunity by just tapping it back into the corridor. And this is where Peatling's second efforts really come to the fore in his intensity. So Crouch is about to get outbodied again. I'm sorry to highlight Matt so often, but it was just, look how much separation there is. Matt and Isaac just standing there. Like, this was a nullified contest, but wait until we watch the next one. And Neil Bullen gives Crouch a look saying, come on, mate, tighten up. This is the very next contest. And look, Crouch is outbodied again. Exactly the same play. Exactly the same play. So this is, I just wanted to highlight this because it makes me chuckle, the setups here. North haven't really paid Keys any respect here. Keysy will go around the back as he always does. Tex knows exactly where he is. And if someone was blocking number 3, he wouldn't have been able to get touch on that ball, and Keysy would have been through for a snap at goal. But you can just see the setup there is elite. Simpkins really slack here on Dawson. You can see Dawson's got touch on there. Simpkins just pointing. Riley Thilthorpe gets a really nice little knock here. straight down to Dawson, who's able to give it off, and Lairdy, which he did a few times during the course of the match, was that sweeping player out the back of the contest. This one didn't come off either, but it could have. It was just, in the end, it was Thilthorpe was just a bit of a victim to a bad throw-in. But Keys again coming around, and you'll see him just shoot through in a minute. There he goes. Almost just got done by the bounce. Just got down by the bounce. Otherwise, another snap at goal. He's just elite at picking those lanes. And Tex will tell you what he's going to do based on what side of the contest he's in. So here he's going to go boundary side. He's not going goal side. North have got the goals with an extra blocked up there, but off goes Saligo around the back. Puts on a nice little block, and there's Benny Keys, right, following in behind him. Rash also puts on a good block here. Tex knows exactly where he is, but just can't get it to him because of the throw, and that was nullified. This one here, like, I don't know what Crouchy was doing. He's just standing there. He's just watching. I don't understand. It just wasn't switched on. See here, Tex is giving a little glance over, and that's Neil Bullen is out of shot here, and he's going to try and get it to him. North haven't covered Keys, but it's the wrong side of the goals for Keysy on this occasion. You can see Tex tries to get it over there. A and B is probably just not on the same page, and wasn't able to get into position, but you can see what the setup was. So this is an interesting one. Larkin gets a goal out of this. Scholl's set up in the right spot defensively, covering the hole. The tap goes essentially straight there, but Scholl hasn't really read it very well. And how did Larkin get so much separation off Keane there? I don't understand. That should just never happen. Yeah, we were one short at this contest. I don't really understand why, and you'll see that in the end, it's a bit of a crapshoot as to who gets covered. Daniel's the one at the back, and he's the one that ends up getting the contest because there's just no one on him. It was quite a weird setup, a lack of organisation. Really nice little pirouette there from Riley O'Brien. It's obviously going there. Jerry's going to get the knock. You can see that. And Crouch and Isaac, again, ball watching and stationary. And if it wasn't for Peatling's good work here, they might have got a cleaner outcome from that. Rankin has his man covered right here. So Ranks is cut. Now watch. All of a sudden this guy's got 3 metres on him. Now Ranks is not slow. There's no way if Ranks is switched on that guy gets metres on him. And Parker's on his own here again. I don't get the setups. Right there, right at the feet. Bang. You can see Peatling there, just explosive with his second efforts. It was a feature of his game. So the stoppage influence rankings, obviously Isaac did far better around stoppage, ranking 7 points. Geordie Dawson playing his sweeping role 4. Rory Laird had a really good match in general and figured in a few defensive half stoppages, and his efforts were really good. Tex up forward, as I said, and as was shown in the footage, just has an innate ability to create something out of nothing up forward out of stoppage, often in conjunction with Benny Keith. James Peatling worked very hard around stoppage, and Riley Thilthorpe as well did well around stoppage. You'll note again no Matty Crouch in those rankings. The throw-ins influence rankings, again, Isaac did really well around throw-ins with 9 points. Jake was busy as always with 5. Peatling worked very hard and got a couple of really really explosive clearances from throw-ins. It was excellent. Geordie with 3, Crouch with 2. Overall, like I said, we weren't allowed space around the contest for the second week in a row, and we do struggle in those tighter circumstances because our work rate and our intensity just isn't at the level, in my opinion, and it's something that will absolutely destroy us against Gold Coast if we're not careful. As mentioned, Texas work at stoppage, often with Benny Keys in tandem, is just elite at times, and they missed a couple this week, but you can just see the way they set up, and it's just incredible to me that opposition teams haven't worked it out yet. Maybe they will going forward. We did set up very aggressively, as I mentioned, and sometimes it was to our detriment. And Crouchy, again, around these two phases was quite flat-footed and didn't look switched on at all. So the award overall for the engine room, for that should read round 3. Isaac Rankin and James Peatling overall winners with 13. Jordan Dawson, just a consistent effort this week with 12. Jake Saligo, a bit up and down, but scored well with 10. And Rory Laird for his efforts behind the ball in stoppage with 5. Final thoughts. We're winning well, but look, we're a bit troubled around clearance, in my opinion. We need to step up our intensity. Otherwise, we're going to be found lacking against the better teams. Riley did quite well this week against Jerry, especially at centre bounce. We gave them far too much room and separation at times around clearance. Again, I don't know whether that's tied in with our setups or whether it was just a lack of intensity, but it was quite noticeable. Matty Crouch really had a terrible game after last week's effort, and we'd looked for him to bounce back this week. Isaac really needs to work on his concentration when he's not engaged in the contest with a defensive action. He's found wanting, and he needs to pick that up. And my opinion is that Gold Coast are going to towel us up if we bring that effort next week. They are going to be a big test for this midfield group. All right, look, thanks very much for joining us again for the Coach's Box engine room analysis. We'll be with you again later in the week with our remaining analysis of forward and defensive 50 and transition, and of course on Sunday with the wrap show. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe, and we'll see you then.